Okay, so let's start with this.
So we are in my living room and we're watching the closing of the auction, which closes in an hour and 18 minutes. It's already at like a absolutely ridiculous amount. The artwork that I made is very much influenced by the tools and influenced by the work of a bunch of people in the crypto community as well.
Hey Mike, this is Jason. I just want to say congratulations. You're at 25,250,000. This is crazy, man.
Jesus Christ, what the hell?
Oh my God!
50 million!
What?
Oh my God! 69 million. I think it probably means digital art is here to stay. I'm going to Disney World.
So, yeah, that was Beeple, and he really is like that. I think he says the F word more than anybody I've ever met. It's a constant stream. But anyway, on March 11th of this year, he sold this JPEG artwork, which is actually more of a collage of mini JPEGs from his 13-year career. It's 5,000 works, which he has completed over the last 13 years every day. I guess maybe many of you know this already, but it sold for 69 million, and he became the third highest sale from a living artist at an auction. Which is just astounding to think about. This was after Jeff Koons, who sold this work Rabbit for 91.1 million, David Hockney with this work for 90.3 million, and then you've got Beeple, Mike Winkelmann, with his work 69 million, which is a pretty amazing thing when you really think about it. But I think that this sale is actually what sort of marked the beginning of the current NFT craze that we're in at the moment. And the crazy thing is this was only about 6 weeks ago, which honestly in NFT time would feel more like 6 months. That's how fast things have been moving. I would also guess that it's possible that most of you hadn't really heard the term NFT perhaps before this, or shortly before, maybe when he was selling in December his works that really sold a lot. And I am one of these people. I didn't know what the term NFT meant the first time I heard it. I was wondering what people were talking about. I'd heard of a couple of the earlier projects that would be considered the first NFT style projects, but that term NFT itself, I never heard before, even connected to those. So he also sold a couple of other times NFTs, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But first, you're probably wondering who I am and how I got here to talk about these magical NFTs. I'm a US citizen. I was born in the Deep South in the United States, in Oxford, Mississippi. I attended the University of Arkansas Architecture School, which is this picture. Whoops. I got my laser pointer. Yeah, look at that. So that right there was the architecture school. It's super important that I point that out. Then we moved to New York City afterwards. Worked as an architect for a couple of years, 3 or 4 years there. And we eventually moved to Vienna. My wife is Austrian. While I was in Vienna, I sort of shifted from architecture to architecture visualization. And these are just some of the images that I've made over the past years, just so you have an idea of kind of stuff I'm doing. This kind of led me to end up in meeting these guys. And these guys, I co-founded the D2 conference, which is an annual conference for architecture visualization. It started that way. We've moved more into other fields of 3D visualization as well now, but that's how it started. My colleague Fabio has been getting into the NFT craze as well, and he's been selling some stuff. So maybe later we can I can show you some of the stuff he's done. So that's the D2 conference. If you want to look it up, it's at D2 conferences pretty much on all social media. The reason I bring this up, though, is that the D2 conference is the reason that I have a connection to Beeple at all. Back in 2017, we convinced him to speak at the D2. It was a lot of fun. He's an extremely funny guy, and he really, you could tell he had a good time hanging out with people, meeting the people who were following him as fans. And at that point in 2017, he'd been doing this for almost 10 years. It was coming up on his 10-year anniversary of doing these everyday images, and he did do them every day. He would start and finish it, post it in one day. He never had stuff left over from other days. We also suggested that he do one of the everydays live for us, which he did, and it was quite a lot of fun. People could watch him. He was telling people, come talk to me. I don't want to just sit here by myself. And so people would come up and just sit next to him and chat while he was doing this. And the really cool thing is, we got to watch him. It took about an hour. I'm going to fast forward through it. He, built the thing, rendered it, and then posted it on Instagram in front of everybody. And that basically led us to this image, which he named D2 and was a part of that collage that you saw earlier. I have looked for it. I couldn't find it, but he told me it's in there. It was quite a lot of fun with him because he was really dedicated. You would see him, he was carrying around this humongously heavy laptop, and he would find him in the corner working on his everydays each day. And the last day after the conference was over, all these people gathered around him and were giving him pointers. And so it was a little bit of a collaboration. It was quite funny to watch. And then he posted this image, which was, what these guys were talking about at that time. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. So now you're thinking, okay, I'm here to learn about NFTs. This is what are we talking about Beeple for? But we'll get to that, because Beeple probably is what really kicked off this whole thing. But when I first heard about what Beeple was doing and what the amount of money that he sold his works for, and also the amount of money that people were reselling it for, that was kind of my reaction. I was like, and this is also the title of this talk. I first of all was because I didn't know what it meant. Second of all is, how is this possible? What is this? How can I find out more about it? But I think the first thing we need to do is to actually sort of define what is a NFT. NFT stands for non-fungible token. In order to understand fungible, non-fungible, you have to think about what is fungibility. It's a term used in economics, and it essentially means something, such as a currency, share, or goods that can be easily exchanged for others of the same value and type. The best example of something that's fungible is going to be like currency. So one 10-euro bill is equal to another 10-euro bill, and you can exchange them and the value is the same. They're identical in value. This also goes for as well, if you exchange a 20 for two 10s, you can still fractionize it, but it's still all equals the same amount. Then we move to non-fungible, and basically that's the opposite, that you have items that have specific properties that make them unique and individual, and therefore do not necessarily hold the same value. The reality is they actually can, though, when you talk about the sale of NFTs. But the idea here is that each one is backed up with a specific contract that can define its properties differently. The reason I said that they can be of a similar value is if someone sells an edition of 100 of an NFT that's related to one artwork, it's very likely that there's a lot of those numbers, they will sell for the same price. a number one out of the 100 is going to be worth more, and the final edition is going to be worth more, from what I've seen. And also sometimes some special numbers are also, numbers are very important in the crypto world, and so sometimes specific numbers will sell for more just because of the number it is. So this is where the NFT comes in. It's a smart contract that's written and authenticated on a blockchain. There are various ones, which I'll talk about later as well. And it's creating a verified record of ownership. You can check out those transactions basically on the Ethereum blockchain. You can check them out on Etherscan. This is a website where a lot of times when if you're exploring through the sites, you'll click on something and it will send you there, because that's the record. That's the actual record of all the transactions. I don't begin to say that I can understand all of this, because it gets very complicated once you start clicking on all these addresses. But the point is that there is a record of the transaction and you can trace it to the person who owns it. This also means that you can resell them and then resell them again, and so on. It also allows the creator of the NFT contract to specify special properties and conditions within the contract. One of the most simple ones, which is important for artists or people selling these NFTs, is that you can set royalties that you will get on each subsequent sale of that item. You can set it to 0, you can set it to 100%. Obviously, 100% would not be great, but it's generally set around 10%. So you generally 10% is going back to the artist anytime one of the works is one of the NFTs is sold to another person. Pack, who is a very, very well-known artist, which I will talk about later. I have a very interesting project from him later, or them, I should say. It's an anonymous artist. Created this NFT, which I actually had to enlarge because I believe it's around 21 pixels by each side. And they called this not for trade, because the contract stipulated that 100% of the secondary sales money would be returned to him, essentially rendering it unsellable by anyone who bought it. They're a very interesting artist in the space, and we'll get to them later because they have some very good stuff. So I'm going to jump back to October 2020 when Beeple sold his first NFTs on the site Nifty Gateway, which is one of the more popular sites for buying and selling NFTs. Basically, they structured it like this. He had an edition of 100, which was sold first come first serve for $1, and 2 auctions. The 2 auctions were won by the same person. This is a well-known investor collector in the space, a wealthy person named Pablo Rodriguez Frail, and he paid around, I think he won. Yeah, you can see there he won them with this bid of 66,000 roughly. And for Crossroad, it's interesting because the second bidder was Metacoven, and we'll talk about Metacoven in a moment because there was his history with the Beeple stuff is not ending in October. Frail actually sold this NFT on Nifty Gateway. They call them Nifties, but it's an NFT, and he sold this in February of this year for 6.6 million. And as per what I talked about before, Beeple got 10% of that as his royalty for it reselling. So from October 2020 to February 21, the perceived value of that work multiplied by 100 times. And I put this in here because this seems to be phenomenon with the NFT scene, is like the speed at the way that things are happening. It's so fast. It seems like from one day to the next, things change so fast. It's really hard to get accurate numbers about the space, but like even conservatively, there's been at least a 20 times increase in the sales and the revenue of NFTs from the Q4 of 2020 till Q1 of 2021. And this, of course, has presented a lot of problems with a lot of the marketplaces trying to keep up and having just issues all around. Yeah, but anyway, so in this, the bus is the NFT scene, and that's us like almost getting run over. Yeah. So before I get into some of the interesting projects, I think it's good to look at sort of the history of how we got to where we are now, because this is, when you think about it, this is another thing I'm talking about, how fast this thing moves. This basically, I mean, Ethereum blockchain was created in 2015. So, and this is what all of this is residing on. Before Ethereum, though, there was, of course, Bitcoin was the first one. And in 2014, this man, Kevin McCoy, an artist, and this man, Anil Dash, they got together and they wanted to create a way to provide the authentication and verification on Bitcoin blockchain. And this work that's shown there is from Jennifer and Kevin McCoy, and it's the earliest instance that I've been able to find of like authenticating the work on the blockchain. And honestly, it's strange because I've seen a lot of recaps of the space, and many of them don't even mention this. And this was, it was one of the first. It had to be the first. The problem is that the Bitcoin blockchain is not suited for this at all. It's completely the wrong type of blockchain for carrying this kind of additional information. They had to come up with a very strange hack in order for it to work in the first place. But in 2015, in July, Ethereum blockchain came online, and this was perfectly designed for hosting these contracts, this kind of contracts on this blockchain. So in 2017, one of the more notable projects began, and this was CryptoPunks. It's not the first NFT style project. There were actually a couple of other kind of art projects that were on the Bitcoin blockchain. But since this one was running on Ethereum, which is now how the actual the smart contracts are working, I believe it's really one of the first that inspired the current system of how the smart contracts are working. And it spawned a bunch of projects since then. So CryptoPunks is basically algorithmically generated 24 by 24 pixel images, which all have unique qualities and attributes. You can always go there and check it out. There's a bunch of different information on the website there, you can see. And the crazy thing is they were essentially given away back then when they were first made. There are 10,000 of them. And this project did not run. It ran on the ERC20 format, which is basically just the tokenized format that the whole thing that Ethereum is built on, or that is built to run. And it actually was the inspiration to create the actual standard that is used today for the contracts. So they didn't actually run on the contracts that it runs now on, but it inspired it. And that leads us to the first project, which was actually running on the ERC. It's called ERC 721. It's the format for making the smart contracts. And this was CryptoKitties. And this was one of the ones that I had heard of back in the day. In 2017, I was a little bit into crypto, buying some stuff. And I remember hearing about this. I never played around with it, but it's basically a game where you can buy and sell various types of kitties. You can then breed them to create new kitties and so on. Here's something directly from the how-to guide. Once you've selected a breeding pair, I just found this humorous. Hit OK, give them some privacy to open a transaction window, and let those kitties make some magic. So basically, you have your Ethereum wallet, which is usually MetaMask is one of the most popular ones. So basically, this CryptoKitties was, yes, using your Ethereum wallet for virtual cat sex. It's a very strange thing, but we might laugh about it. But the reality is, this happened during the rise in 2017, the bull market for crypto. And it was so popular that it actually clogged up and slowed the Ethereum network sometimes because of all the activity that was created. It also made headlines because this rare crypto kitty called Dragon sold for 600 ETH in February 2018, which was at the time roughly $170,000. And as you move forward through 2018-19, there was a huge amount of activity, new companies being created. You can see here like infrastructure marketplaces and so on. We're going to look at marketplaces. The games and collectibles thing is also, I'm not very much into this side of it, but this is also coming up quite quickly, a lot. There's a lot of activity there. Anyway, the point is that in the last few years, it's been just in a massive explosion. So I'm going to jump back again to Beeple because this is where it starts to get more interesting. In December 2020, he had another drop on Nifty Gateway. You can see a pattern here, right? Nifty Gateway becoming more popular. It's becoming the place for the big artists to drop their stuff. This time he had 3 open editions, which means an edition which was open for, I think, 5 minutes. And you could, as many people that bought it, wanted to buy it, could buy it. And I think it cost $969. Then there was an edition of 100 for $1, which people always talks about, that he's trying to do something that at least, that anybody could buy. And then there were 20 single edition works. During those auctions, some mysterious bidders with names of Greek philosophers were aggressively bidding on these. And they ended up winning all 20 different Greek philosopher names. The total sales from this whole drop was 3.5 million, which was a record at the time. And it turned out that bidder who was bidding on all of that stuff was Meta Coven, the guy who came in second earlier in October. On February 16th of this year, Christie's announced that they're going to auction this work. And this would be the first NFT purely digital artwork to ever be auctioned anywhere. And because of this, of course, it triggered a huge amount of new people looking into NFTs and checking out this stuff. It was really a big event, which made it aware to a lot of people. And of course, this huge new influx of people caused a lot of debate about the good and bad things about NFTs in general. So we come back to this because then people start to understand a little more, and then there's new things, new problems that come out. And basically, it kind of sums up the whole hysteria that followed this, and it built as the bids for people's work rose over I believe it was around 20 days or 21 days that the auction was going on. Artists, actually a lot of different artists started making a lot of money selling NFTs. The problem was there were problems with the NFTs, which we're going to talk about in just a second. I noticed that lines were being drawn between people, were taking sides. Friends of mine, colleagues were getting into extremely heated arguments about NFTs. I think it was generally non-constructive, these arguments, and there were a lot of strong reactions that were often like severely one-sided. Nobody wanted to listen to each other. So I think it's really important that we talk about this, the good, the bad, and the ugly of NFTs. So let's start with the good. There's more money for artists. I believe that this is something that it could be argued that it's not necessarily going to be passed down. We're going to talk about that as well. But generally, it's another way for artists to directly access their own community or own followers to sell their work. There's a lot of factors involved, but it is a way. You have a little bit more control over the ownership, royalties, and rights, at least in the way that it's authenticated on the blockchain. This is not a silver bullet. It is not going to, it does not take away any kind of copyright problems or anything like that. Like, we have to be realistic about it. It actually can cause some more problems, which we'll talk about in just a second. It's a bit of a democratization of the digital art market in the sense that there are open platforms which anyone can upload their work to. That doesn't mean it's going to sell, but there are platforms where you can do it. And I'm going to show you some really cool platforms later on, which are really quite a lot of fun and amazing the way that you can access it. And did I mention more money for artists? Because I know personally a lot of people who've been able to make some extra money doing this, and I'm very happy that they were able to do this, because I do believe that it's changed the way that some people have looked at what they're going to do in the future. This can be good and bad. Okay, the bad. You've got gatekeepers. They're going to gatekeep. You've got the money making potential they're seeing. The gatekeepers of art, music, sports, entertainment, they're doing their best to, like, get on top of this and get in control of it. This is the same how Christie's jumps in. Christie's sees the how much this could be worth, and so they're jumping in there. And they're not the only ones. You have as well Sotheby's, Phillips auction house have both been involved as well in NFT sales after Christie's did it. You have a problem with copy minting. This is where someone takes an image from the internet and mints it as an NFT and then tries to sell it. So they could if they find your image online, they could just download it, mint it, and sell it. The only way to police this is either the community at large or yourself. There's actually, with some of the platforms, they give you a way to or for users to mark something as copyrighted work. But the real problem with that is that once something's minted on the blockchain, it's there, and in order to get rid of it, it has to be burned, which means sent to an address where it's destroyed, essentially. If the platforms are offering a way to do it, then that is one way to solve it. But I just wanted to say that this is not a way to completely protect your copyright or the fact that you own some kind of work. So you have to be aware of that. The next thing would be FOMO, the fear of missing out, especially for artists. And I feel like this is an area where a lot of artists should have taken a step back maybe and looked at what's going on and understand the market a little bit before jumping in full on, like with no holds barred. So for instance, there's people calling themselves NFT artists, which in my opinion is a bit of a misnomer, unless the art they're creating is the actual non-fungible token, which is actually more from the development side. And you can be creative. You don't get me wrong here. There's a huge potential for those contracts being super creative. And I'm going to show you some examples of that. But at the moment, I feel like there's a lot of people staking their future on something that we're still not 100% sure about how this is going to play out. It's definitely going to be a force in the future, but to stake everything on it, I think would be a mistake. And the biggest one, the environmental side effects. So all of these transactions, of course, on Ethereum blockchain, they require a huge number of computers to do calculations, to attempt to solve mathematical problems in order to get a reward for the transactions being authenticated on the blockchain. It's been estimated that the minting process of one NFT consumes about the same amount of power that one family in the EU uses for a month. And the reason is because whenever the authentications or whenever the calculations are being done, only one miner is going to get that. One computer is going to get that. The rest of them worked for nothing. So that's a lost power usage. The second problem at the moment is gas fees on the Ethereum network. Any transaction you do on the Ethereum network requires gas fees to be processed. This is a fee you'll just have to pay whenever you do anything, whether you mint the object on the blockchain. If you want to post it, list it for sale on the blockchain, if you want to change what your price is on the sale, sometimes even if you want to accept a bid depending on the platform. So these things really add up. You have to know about them beforehand, because otherwise it's something you can really add up and cause you to not make any money at all, depending on how you price something. The next thing is the mental health toll. And I've seen this with some people that I actually know, that there's a lot of things that can arise there, but most commonly it seems that people are having problems because they're comparing themselves to their peers constantly, of course, like we all do as humans. They see someone else's artwork selling for huge sums of money, and it can cause a lot of feelings of inadequacy, or even lead to being depressed about it, because you don't understand why your art is not selling like theirs, or maybe you think yours is better than theirs, etc. This can put you into a deep hole, and I've seen it happen with a couple of people already, even though this has only been going on for a couple of months. So you really have to be careful about, I think, how you view what you're doing. And like I said, I would just not put all of my eggs in one basket, so to say. Okay, that was hard. Those ugly things are really ugly, but it's not all that bad. There's a bright side to all of this. Any new technology is, of course, evolving as it's massively adopted, which is what's happening right now. And blockchain technology is no different at all. Ethereum 2.0 is the next step, which is going to use proof of stake instead of proof of work for authentication. It's still a little bit unclear exactly when this is going to be fully implemented, but it's the test net is already running. So I think it's within a year or something, something like that. The thing is, though, there are other blockchains and other technologies, which such as one is called Polygon and another is called Flow, which are actually separate from the Ethereum blockchain in terms of the minting and the transaction process. So it's removing the gas fees and the huge energy load that would be taking place on the Ethereum network. And this is sort of an in-between, I guess, until Ethereum 2.0 is fully up and running. This is an in-between thing, which some places are already implementing. There's also other blockchains, completely other blockchains, which are completely proof of stake, such as the Tezos blockchain. And I'm going to show you a really cool marketplace that uses that. This also means that there are the transaction fees are hardly anything compared to Ethereum. The Ethereum, sometimes it can cost you upwards of $130 just to complete a transaction, and that's just crazy. But so let's say you want to sell NFTs, and I think these are some of the things that you should consider. NFTs are probably not going to make you rich. I just read a very recent article where they were crunching the numbers over the last couple of months, and the data is not very encouraging in terms of if you're trying to make a quick buck on what you're doing. I'm going to include a list of links to Ismet, which he can pass to all of you later on. I suppose he has your emails. And there's a very interesting article in there, which you should definitely read, along with a lot of other information, just if you want to catch up fast. I would also say, don't lose focus on your art, on what you're doing. I feel that some artists are starting to view their output based on what they think will sell in the NFT market. And I think this is probably a short-sighted way to look at things. I'd also say, if you are just starting out or don't have a large following behind you, it's also extremely important that you focus first on those things before you try to jump into a market that is really becoming quickly saturated. You might get lucky. You might find somebody who's collecting your work that has a lot of money, that wants to pay a lot of money for what you have, but it could end up being a big waste of time unless you have done the work of having the community, or that you've done the work of having the voice in your art that you want to have. The next thing is, if you have that, if you do want to get in there, you have to get involved with the community. It's absolutely necessary if you want to deal with NFTs. and I mean, what I mean by that is you have to be involved in the sense that you have to, it's good to understand all of the things that are happening. What are people themselves looking for when they want to buy an NFT? Things like that. You'll learn a whole bunch of stuff in the process, and you'll meet people who can help you along the way, as well as maybe people who want to buy what you're selling, or you have all kinds of networking opportunities. And I would say at this point, about 80% of what I've even learned, or the way that I got involved in projects, or the way that I got involved in buying something that I thought was interesting, was 80% of that was in Discord communities. I'll show you that in just a minute, some stuff about the Discord communities, but it was super helpful in me understanding what's going on in this space. The next thing is, consider the creative ways that you can use NFTs. And this is extremely important in my opinion, because NFTs are presenting such unique opportunities for creative art projects that go far beyond simply minting a digital print of your work. As you will see in some of the case studies I'm going to show you in just a moment, the NFTs are actually presenting us with some interesting opportunities, and it would be completely a shame to ignore this fact of the NFT. So some notable projects. I'm going to go through these real quickly, and then I'm going to jump over and show you it online. It's actually a little bit easier. So this was from Robert Alice. This was actually the first work which was auctioned that included an NFT, but it's a physical work. And essentially the NFT part of it, it was also auctioned at Christie's. Essentially the NFT part was controlling how this object it changes some property of the object. I think it's some lights with it embedded in it or something like this, depending on where the artwork is in the world and what time of day it is. So it was a first step at using the NFT in conjunction with an artwork in order to control some aspect of it. We have, of course, the Beeple project, and the reason I'm putting this back up is that we talked about Metakoven, who is the person who bought these 20 single auctions. Well, Metakoven is actually one of a partner in something called Metapurse. He's also that we now know who it is. I can't remember exactly who it is, but they know it is. Before he was anonymous, now they know who it is. But essentially what they did was they bought the 20 artworks, they packaged them together, they created a token on the Ethereum blockchain called B20, and then they sold this token to anyone who wanted to be an investor in that artwork, essentially allowing just anyone to buy shares of those 20 artworks. They created then a museum in the metaverse. In there, it shows 3 places: CryptoVoxels, Somnium Space, and Decentraland. They also, I think, have one in something called Sandbox. They had a party with quite a famous DJ Blau. So this is moving beyond just some digital artwork on the internet and moving into like a 3D space, regardless of sometimes how silly the things look. There's people who are thinking about this in a completely out of the box way. Another one is Pack. They created a very interesting project called the Fungible Collection. I'm going to show you a little bit about that as well and to explain it more in detail. And then you have this is another auction that is taking place still at this moment. I believe there's one. It says 3 days here. That's just a screenshot. I think there's 1 day left on this one, and the current bid is still 2.4 million. But this is a super interesting project, and I will get into that. This is a little bit of something from that as well. So let me just jump out of here. Let me share. Let's see. believe that's it. Okay, can everybody see that? I lost my,
Yep.
hold on just a second.
We
Okay.
see you. Yep.
Okay. I like having the little video panel over here. Can see if
Right.
people are asleep or not. Okay. Actually, I don't want to show you this yet. I want to show you some of these projects. Okay, can you see this by this the fungible by Pack?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so this was it's actually a little bit complicated. I'll try to describe it as best I can. Essentially, what was happening over the last month or so in the NFT space, Nifty Gateway is one of the more popular places because it actually has an integrated sales and market. You can sell and you can buy. They have a secondary market, which means that you can, if you buy something, you can resell it to somebody without having to leave the platform. And the other advantage they have is that they actually take credit cards and not just, you can use Ethereum or you can use credit cards. This is not very common. Most of the places you have to use crypto, but this one you can use credit cards, which makes it a lot more accessible. And therefore they have the largest, probably the largest users, amount of users. But Pack is an extremely famous person or group. It's not clear if it's a person, just one person or a group of people. They're very mysterious, and they created this collection specifically in a response, as a response to the market, the NFT marketplace, and how they see what is going on in the market. They're trying to affect it by using this drop of NFTs as sort of a performance. So let me see if I can describe this properly, because it is a little bit confusing. So essentially, when you buy on Nifty Gateway, if you buy a drop, they might have an open edition. And this is what this is, this fungible open edition. In this sense, what that is you would buy it, it becomes an NFT, and as many people buy it, get one. So what they did in this drop, and I have to add that this drop was also in conjunction with Sotheby's. So this was where Sotheby's jumped in and did something as well in this space. However, everything ran through Nifty Gateway, so there was no auction at Sotheby's. So essentially what they did, they were open for 3 days for 15 minutes. You could buy this cube. The first day it cost $500. The second day it cost $1,000. And the third day it costs $1,500. During those 3 days, they did not mint an NFT from this object. So basically at that point, that's why it's called the fungible collection, was that this thing was still fungible in the same way that I could trade one for one and they were worth the same amount. At the end of the 3 days, however, they exchanged the number of cubes you bought. They broke them up into these denominations that you see here. So if you bought 100 cubes, 100 of these single cubes, you would get one single NFT, which was called 100 cubes, and so on. So if you wanted to maximize how many NFTs you got, you would buy 100 plus 50, 20, 30 down, and you'd have to do some math in your head depending on what you wanted to buy. And depending on how many NFTs you wanted to get. The interesting part about this is, and this was all purposeful from them, was that what that means is even a very wealthy person, the maximum amount that they could buy of the single cube NFTs was 4. So no matter how much money they spent, they still could only get a maximum of 4 of these cubes. After the first day of sales, where they cost 500, Pack announced that he was going to create a website where you could burn his artworks and in return receive a new coin called Ash, which would be used for future auctions that he would do. Now, this was a crazy announcement because basically what it means is now that I can turn in this NFT that I get, this 1 cube NFT, and I would get, let's say, I think it was 1,000 Ash. So a specific number of Ash. The really interesting thing is though, that he said that all of the NFTs that are created, whether it's a cube, 5 cubes, 10 or whatever, they're all worth the same amount of Ash. So essentially what he did was he created a huge demand for the cube, the cube NFT, because any of the more wealthy people who want to get more and more of this ash, the best way for them to do that was to buy the most expensive, the most inexpensive NFT that existed. Therefore, he created a huge demand, which is going to happen in the secondary market. It already happens. It's already been happening, because, and he's making it that the wealthy people who want to invest in this, they have to buy those cubes from the people who didn't necessarily have as much money to invest. So if you were only able to buy 4 cubes, you're going to end up having a great deal, because you can either wait and sell this at a higher amount. The moment Pack announces he's going to do an auction for a piece that's only using ash, the amount the worth of those cubes is for sure going to go up. It's already slowly moving up, but the point is that he has tried to level the system, and he kept talking about that. He wanted to make a more level playing field for everyone. He wanted to take away this whole idea of people, because what's been happening is people are just buying these open editions, and then the next day they sell them, and a lot of times they sell them for loss, and nobody can understand why people are doing this. And one of the effects he's trying to do is to try to keep it from happening. And the thing is, he's going to affect the whole market, because eventually he wants to add this a whitelist of things from other artists where you can burn their objects as well. And essentially what happens is there's a dynamic between the amount of objects there are and the price. So the moment that you start burning objects of certain NFTs, then whatever ones that are left over, there's less of them, so they're worth more. That's the principle anyway. Along with this was not all that he did. Was along with this whole thing, there were auctions that were for different kinds of things. So the cube was for the person who bought the most number of cubes during the auction, and I think there was somebody who bought 1,986 specifically to get one of each of these, and then 4 of the cubes. So they would get this automatically. The complexity was for the top 100 people who bought the most cubes. The equilibrium, I cannot remember, to be honest. The builder was given out by him. He made a list of people he found influential, and the switch was an auction which whoever bought it, there's some secret thing that it does to the whole system, which no one knows. Even the person who bought it does not know. And the way it gets activated, they tell Pack they want to activate it without knowing what it does, and then he will say he'll do it and say what happens to it. And this is all written in the NFT contract, right? In the sense that that this has to be done in order to do. They don't actually ever have to do it either. They don't have to do the switch, and nobody knows what it does. There's a lot of theories about that. And then the pixel was another work, which is really a single pixel, and it's sold for 1.3 million. Pack has been doing things like this for many years, and they have always had this sort of very minimal. Like I said before, they sold this not for trade. They've been playing these games with the market a lot, purposely to shine a light. I feel like it felt really a lot like they're trying to hold a mirror up to all of the people who are investing or just trying to make some money, and make you decide what kind of person you're going to be here. So I'm going to show another. Oh, keep getting. Don't want this. This is another project which is quite interesting in the way that it was done. This was also sold on Nifty Gateway. It's called Liability, and it's from Too Much Lag, who is an artist who their work is very, very similar, always with these figures. But the interesting thing about this one was it was also an open edition. And this is actually mine. I bought this number 930 out of 1573. This is belonging to me. What was interesting about this project is that every one of the numbers, the different numbers that were minted, has a unique image which goes to it, and they're all unique. So depending on how many that were created, and even cooler is they created a Discord channel for this, and a member of the community programmed a way for you to find out the rarity of the image that you have. And he created an extension in Chrome. So if I'm on my page here, where I'm looking at the number, or looking at mine, I can actually go up here. Can you all see that? Or is it, can you see the plugins thing?
Yep, we can see the plugins.
So if I click on the Lay Anime plugin, I can actually see this is the image which is attached to the NFT contract, and you cannot sell them separately. You can, if you sell the main thing, the image goes with it. And they have these properties, so they all look different. They have different symbols and different clothes and so on, of different backgrounds and so on. And you can see somebody has calculated. Somebody actually went through all of these images at one point. Somebody from the community, and calculated all of the probabilities. There's an Excel sheet, like literally an Excel sheet with everything listed on it. And then that person took that, and so you can look at how rare certain things are in your image. So this is just another example of like a creative use of the NFT, where those properties and the things that are happening behind the scenes are different based on each one of the numbers of the edition. I'm gonna just check. I'm gonna look real quick. Let's look at another one, just out of curiosity. I think if you look at another person's let's just look at this one. So this is a different edition number. I'm gonna go here. Yeah, so you can see the special image that's attached to that just to that edition number, with the different rarities and so on. And like I said, in the Excel sheet, there are some which are extremely based on numbers, because that's an important thing. Let's say, I remember number 666 has some crazy rarities involved. Oh, didn't show up. Maybe some. So that's another thing. Just in general, with these. Okay, yeah. There's this actually animation with music. You can hear that. But another interesting thing about this is, for instance, on Nifty Gateway actually separates its the works that you buy from the main Ethereum blockchain. So if I go and I try to look at it, for instance, on OpenSea, which is sort of a platform where you can see everything related to a specific Ethereum wallet that you own, the Nifty Gateway stuff doesn't show up. Because they have separated, it's like within a wall, which is a little bit of a disadvantage, but you are able to transfer it out of there if you wish. Sorry, I get the pop-up constantly up there. But anyway, so this is quite an interesting project, and they created an entire website along with it where you could type in your number. This was before somebody created the spreadsheet and like the Chrome plugin, but essentially you could enter the number of your, let's do it here. You could enter the number, and then you're going to see the thing that's attached to that edition number. And for instance, this 666 was extremely rare, background, clothes, and so on. But this was, the interesting thing is this takes on the life of an entire project, which is not just one person making this animation and selling it and being like, oh, now I'm done. This thing has taken on a life of its own. There's a whole community around it. And I find this is really the essence of what's going on with the NFT space. There's another artist named Fuckrender. It's actually with a V though, so it can be typed everywhere. And he created, I didn't actually, I think I had it installed on the computer. I took it off, but essentially he created an app where you could go inside, you could wander around in it. It's like this fantasy sort of planet looking thing. And you can actually find the works that people own in there, and it will say who owns it and so on.
Jason, is that planet doing a goat seed?
This? Oh, I don't think so.
Okay.
He's always got hands and stuff in his yeah, actually. but you never know. I don't know. I don't think so. But
Okay.
and then we have this this work from Mad Dog Jones, who is actually a big name in the space as well. And this is an extremely unique one because, and this one's being auctioned at the this is what I was talking about before. It's being auctioned at the Phillips auction house. This one is essentially an NFT contract where the NFT, this printer you see, this copy machine, is creating new NFTs every month. It's creating a new NFT. And I'm going to play this because I think this little video, I queued it up to the spot where she explains exactly what is going on in this, because I think it's important. It's explained a lot better than I could. So I'm going to play this real quick.
This Genesis piece will produce 6 Generation 2 NFTs at a rate of approximately 1 per month. Each subsequent generation will produce 1 less artwork than the prior generation until Generation 7 is reached, where production will stop. True to its form as a photocopier, Replicator can jam. Jams come in the form of unique artworks. Each generation may have up to 3 unique jam pieces, which causes a generation to stop replicating and curbs exponential growth. This journey is not predetermined. Statistical variance makes it impossible to predict exactly how many NFTs will be generated. However, after around 1 million simulations, the average is around 220. What's so compelling about it as a work of art is that its medium and its form are inextricably linked. It literally could not be anything else other than an NFT. It has to use this technology in order to function. I think
that's a pretty amazing thing, what has been created there. And what's even more interesting is that it puts a big pressure on the owner of this, because they could decide to sell it, but if they sell it, then any NFT that's produced by it later does not belong to them. It belongs to the new owner. So any NFT that's produced by this NFT is belonging to the person who owns it, and can be sold separately afterwards. That's also a very interesting thing. So, but as you said, this can only work with an NFT. Now, if Mad Dog Jones had just simply taken this image, minted it on Nifty Gateway, which he had done before. He's had a couple of drops on Nifty Gateway before where it was really just a small animation like this, a drawing. He basically was just he's like selling a print. But this has totally changed everything with that. And I think this was a fantastic idea from them to do this in this way. So let me just, are there any questions so far?
Yeah. No questions so far. I think okay. It's time to just check in with everyone. If there's a thing, are you moving to a new thing?
I was just gonna go through the marketplaces real quick and give a little bit of an overview of what's out there. And of course, I can't go through all of them. There's so many, but I'm just going to show a little bit and talk about them. And then I wanted to show how you would put an NFT on.
Okay, sounds good.
Which doesn't take a long time. So. Any questions? No. Okay. That's fine. I'll
so far no questions. So but I'm just gonna put a message right now. People might be a bit shy to ask questions directly, so they can send me a DM if they choose to do so. I'm just
okay
right now. Mm-hmm.
All right, so just to go through some of the marketplaces, I think I'll start here. Nifty Gateway, that's what we were just looking at. It's a very closed off service, but it also functions relatively well because they allow people to buy with US dollars. They are minting on the Ethereum blockchain, so they're for sure, the environmental issue is definitely there. Like I said before, I think this, if you wait, I think this will definitely is going to be worked out. They're going to, I believe I read somewhere that Nifty Gateway was also going to try to start using layer 2, which is what they're calling the way to mint stuff separately from the Ethereum blockchain, so that the minting process doesn't have such a huge environmental impact. Of course, it still will have one. There's still servers that have to run, but it's then more on par to surfing the internet than it is, you know, a computer running full speed 24/7 to do those calculations. But like, as you can see, they have the drops listed. Another thing is, this is a curated platform. You cannot just drop on this platform. But it's for someone who wants to buy things, or if you want to get involved a little bit and see how things work, this is a place you can buy and sell the things specifically from the artists that they pick. They have been running into problems recently because they have so many things every day that the market is drying up a little bit, and this will be interesting to watch, like how this goes on in the near future. This pop-up, let me hide this. It's like in the way. There we go. So another one is Super Rare. Super Rare is also a curated platform. You have to get, you have to apply to be invited, but then once you're on there, you can upload and sell work there. I believe they only use Ethereum. From what I remember, yeah, they use, you can only bid in Ethereum. Maker's Place is another just like that. But here you can use regular credit cards as well as Ethereum, but it's the same system. You have to apply and get accepted. Known origin is the same. Foundation is the same. I'm curious to see as we move forward, you know, how many of these platforms can actually survive, because it's Super Rare is probably one of the more popular ones that are like that. I would say Known Origin and Foundation are less popular, but yeah, it's the Foundation was actually kind of funny because they started their whole thing by you had to be invited, and you could be invited by someone else who's on the platform, and so it became a huge problem everywhere you'd look. People, do you have a Foundation invite? It was for 2 months. That's all you could see on Facebook, was people asking if someone had a Foundation invite. So I think that's died down a bit, thank goodness. But anyway, I from my perspective of being involved in looking around and seeing what's going on, I find Foundation platform to not be such a great thing. Also Known Origin, in terms of there's a lot of fees involved in, you know, selling these things there. I'm going to put a link to an article where the fees are kind of outlined. I'll put that link in the document that I give to Ismet as well. But I think in the end, it's one of the worst places for an artist. It's really hard to judge. I believe Super Rare and Maker's Place are. Maker's Place does also these drops. Super Rare does not do drops. They just allow artists to upload. Super Rare has a lot of great artwork on it. And I believe that the people who, the real collectors out there who have money to spend, they are using Super Rare quite a lot. But like I said, you have to get accepted. Now I'm going to move on to something which is a little bit outside of this. These are the platforms where public platforms where anyone can upload something. And I'm going to show you how you would do that. I'm not actually going to mint something or to sell to put it on sale, because the gas fees are ridiculously high right now. I'll show you that in just a minute. But the idea here is that all of these systems are kind of connected to your Ethereum wallet. And so if you're going to do any of this stuff, you need to have a MetaMask wallet. And that is this. You can look it up, MetaMask, and put the link there as well. Basically, this is how you're going to get your Ethereum onto your so that you can use it on the websites and different things. If you're not familiar with that, then it's a relatively easy process. I would say the more complicated thing is actually buying cryptocurrency, which I'm not even going to go into because it's a whole nother topic. But once you have the cryptocurrency, you'll have an address here you can send it to. Now, the interesting thing about this is this address is the address that follows me around, basically. So if I go on OpenSea and I click on my profile, well, when I signed up, it basically just connected to my Ethereum wallet, to my address. And now I can see everything that I have that's connected to that address. So for instance, I have my This is something that I put on there before. I'm not selling it right now, but it's just on there. So I uploaded this and added it to the platform. So it's also connected to my wallet address. And these are some other projects, other things that I've collected over the time from different places even. So this is actually not even from OpenSea. None of these are. These are all from a different platform. But because they're also connected to my wallet, I can see them here. And these are things that are connected to my wallet on the Ethereum blockchain. So I'm going to step to the next one, which I find super interesting because this is actually a very experimental platform where anyone can upload. It's running on a completely different blockchain. This is the Tezos blockchain, which is a proof of stake blockchain, which means it has extremely low fees. It's still experimental, so there's not a lot of features there. But if you, for instance, if you look at one of the works, you can see that it's being sold for 0.77 Tez, which is a one. It's called XTZ, I believe is the symbol, is worth about $5 to $6. So a lot of the stuff on this is also extremely cheap at the moment because it's kind of experimental. There's a lot of I see a lot of generative art on there, but it's very simple the way that it works. So for instance, you can, you see you can collect it. You can see that the address here, it doesn't even have a username. It has the address. Then this is the same address. So that means that nobody has bought one of these yet. It's all still owned by this person. I'm going to just show you real quick my own collection. Some silly stuff, but I just been playing around, and most of these things were relatively inexpensive, but some of them are actually from some kind of well-known artists. This is something from John Bergerman, and he is extremely active across all of the platforms. And I was going to say that another important place to check on the NFT scene is Twitter. You'll find out everything on Twitter. Like if you start following the artist, they'll say, oh, I just posted this thing here if you want to go grab one. For instance, this one he put on there and he said, okay, I have 1,000 up there in 24 hours. Whatever's left that didn't get taken, I think they were one XTZ each. He said he's going to burn them. So he burned the rest of them. So there's, in the end, 100 of them or something. But these people are also experimenting a little bit about what's the demand, how's this going to work, what are people going to buy. I think it's still quite open, but an interesting thing is you have like works like this, which are which I've not seen on any other platforms. Like all the other platforms, it seems, are either you have an animation with music or you have just a still image. But this platform allows you to upload generative art or sort of things with HTML functionality inside. So this art, for instance, every time you click it, it generates a new thing, and it's always changing. It's always different every time you look at it. And this is not possible on other platforms as far as I've seen so far. I wanted to show as well this, which is quite another interesting platform. And what they allow you to do, I would suggest, I don't want to, this is about a 3-minute video, but if you're interested in what this sounds like, then I would go check this out because it's a very interesting thing that they are providing. Basically, you can upload a master file and specific layers separately, which can also be sold separately, which means that if I owned the master file, you can actually kind of see here, they've shown like the different backgrounds that can be there, the different, okay, that's all the backgrounds, but these are layers which could be sold separately. And what's interesting about this is that if I own the master, and each one of these can have an owner, each of these layers, the person who owns the layer gets to decide what is being shown on the master file. So if I own this with this person, I can tell it to put this person in there. And whoever owns the master file, though, they will see it as this person wanted it to be seen, like this layer, whichever layer they decide. So this is kind of an artwork which is living and changing all the time based on other people that own parts of it. They've also, and what they've done here is you can do this without having to know how to code these contracts. And that's what this platform is for, is that you just have to upload the different parts, and it will, the way that they do the contracts is working so that it can be done like this. It's not just the layers that can be changed. It's also, you can use, I believe, time of day, as well as the weather and some other options like location, to change, to say that depending on that, the artwork will also change based on that. Like I believe this one, it says it updates twice a day to reflect the day and night cycles. And you can't own the layers, you can only own the master. So this one is very simple, you own the master, but it will change depending on what time of day it is, which is quite an interesting idea. That's actually what was happening with this block 21 work that I showed before. And that work is also using async contracts in the background to work. There actually was one more, which sorry, there was one more, which is another quite a large one. This is called Wearable, and it's also large. You can see, for instance, here, it's the same address. I'm connected with my MetaMask wallet, same address. And if I look at the items, then I see the items that I own are here. So this is actually an interesting feature, that you can see the things on different places just depending on the wallet address. I just wanted to show that because Wearable is also using Ethereum network, so that's not great in terms of the environmental problems and the gas fees. They're crazy gas fees constantly. So it's almost not fun to use because the amount of money you have to spend just to list something, for instance. And that money is basically going to pay the computers that are running in the background somewhere, to pay the person who solves that calculation. But what
Jason,
you can, yeah, sorry.
We have some questions already, but
okay. Can I just say one other thing, and then so the thing that's different about Wearable, though, if what you'll see sometimes is, for instance, here you can sell multiple editions, which you cannot do at the moment on OpenSea, but that is apparently coming on OpenSea. And you'll see that in a second when I show you, because it actually says it when you try to list something. You can only list one single object, but it's coming that you can list multiple. So I'll mention one last time about that too, though, is that this blockchain, which is called Hic et Nunc, which is Latin here and now, it is using a proof of stake blockchain. So this is a more environmentally friendly blockchain. And this actually, when you see people post, they always are posting like that with hashtag clean NFT. So it's a big deal for them, for the community. And it's my favorite at the moment. And I just want to say that OpenSea is here. You can see that they were announcing this, that they're actually going to integrate the Tezos blockchain within OpenSea as well. So there'll be a way that you can do things on OpenSea with Tezos, which is great, as well as integrating this Matic. This is in beta right now, and this is also using the layer 2 from Ethereum, the layer 2, some other blockchain side chain. It's in beta right now, but apparently it's also going to soon be moved where things that are created on that can be on the main OpenSea site. So this stuff is happening. It's a good sign because they are responding to this problem that exists. Okay, some questions? Sorry.
No, it's great. This is great. We've got actually one person who's actually been using Hic et Nunc quite a bit. Hova has actually minted a couple of things there.
Perfect.
And I think a lot of the questions is about about.
I'm looking at them, yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at tax exemption.
Now I am. Oh man, taxes.
And also examples of buying an NFT and getting something physical. I suppose Beeples Every Day was one good example of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start with that one because there is something interesting there as well, which I think is something that people should be aware of. So if you sell a physical item, if you say that you're going to sell the NFT in a physical item, well, you have to always remember that once that physical item is sent to someone, well, that's it. It doesn't mean that it's connected. Beeple himself said, yes, I would prefer that this physical item and the NFT stay together. So whoever owns them, because he said, I find it ridiculous that it would be separated. But the reality is that's already happened, that it's been separated, because if I get that NFT and then I get this nice screen that he made with his piece of his hair or whatever that he had in there, which is totally crazy. I've already heard that people have like bought the NFTs without the physical item, because the reality is here that the NFT is the thing that's valuable. The physical item is somehow secondary. And I've noticed this within the community of people. For instance, when you're hanging out in the Discord for the Nifty Gateway community, there's been a problem recently because a lot of the secondary sales stuff is going down, and the people are a little bit unhappy about that. There's nothing, I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. But what they want is they want the artists to keep involved. And so what's happened is they want the artists to do something. They want them to burn some of the, like to buy back. Basically, you could turn something in and get another NFT, things like this. And this is what's been happening. So they're making a burn of like, they'll allow people to take, if they own 3 of the item, to send it in, and then they'll get a new NFT. And of course, not everybody's going to do that. So it reduces the amount of one open edition NFT. And then those people get a new NFT, which will be a lower amount. And so then it's going to be worth, theoretically, I mean, that's the theoretically thing, you know, it's not necessarily going to happen. This was also something that PAC was responding to when they did this project, the whole burning aspect, like that this was being done in a strange, like actually not necessarily a sustainable way, because even if you burn something doesn't mean that the value is actually going to go up. But what they did was kind of playing with that. So the burn is not just you burn it for some NFT that you might not even be worth anything. You're actually burning it for something that can be used later for something else. So that was the idea anyway. The secondary thing is that there are a lot of the artists are coming back and saying, oh, okay, we're going to do something for the community, for the people who bought. If you hold this item until X day, we'll send you something, or we'll make a drawing or whatever. And people are not having this. They're like, what is this? This is not helping. This is not helping the secondary market at all. It basically helps only until that date is passed. And then, so the point is that tying an object to an NFT, it could be a nice bonus, but it's probably not going to be necessarily for everyone like a bonus. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a good point, but it's almost counter to what artists have been working with.
Yes,
it's the complete opposite of what you want people to do. That I guess the idea here is that in art, there's a way for us to display it in our homes or frame it up onto our walls. But as an NFT, yes, you can display it on your own personal channel. And that's actually one of the questions I actually have. Is there a shared gallery space that people can actually, here's my collection, here's my personal collection, and people are seeing each personal collection? How do is there a channel for that?
Yeah, there actually is a very, in my opinion, as an architect coming from an architecture background, and architecture visualization, a very badly done thing called Rare Rooms. Let me see if I can find it. Where it's like these virtual rooms. I'm going to show you one because for me, they're really terrible. But I mean, some people like them, I guess. They like that you can show something off, which I think is something that could be interesting. So this is like, this is basically what you got.
Yeah.
I can like just walk around in here. And can you listen to this? Listen.
Yeah.
They've got footsteps, right? I mean, it's so unnecessary. It's adding to the feeling, you know, about it. But so anyway, you can see like, you know, which number they are and the owner or whatever there. The thing is, actually, what is this? Now I've never seen. Let's go. We're going to do a little exploring. Can I go? Oh, I can go into another another room.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
okay.
All right. Anyway, I didn't see that before, but anyway, my problem with this is that it's a little too simple, in the sense that, I mean, I don't know if anybody here has read Snow Crash by Neil Stevenson, but he's talking about the metaverse, and this isn't the metaverse. I'm sorry, it's just not. You have like unlimited capabilities within the virtual space to create whatever you want, all kinds of things. This is just way too simple, in my opinion. It's such a just normal depiction of like a one-to-one depiction. It's just the real world in the virtual space, and I don't feel like there's any like innovation there. Like, shouldn't we be experiencing these artworks? I mean, since I have basically unlimited way to do it, I could come up with whole new ways to experience it or to show it. So I kind of have a problem with this kind of things, but at the same time, I do understand why someone would like to have this space to show off what their work, what they own, for instance. So I don't fault someone for that. I just mean that I believe there's so much more. There's so much more that we could do. I mean, it almost feels like you walk into this thing, you know, some of them. Yeah. So I'm hoping that someone's going to, you know, come up with something that's a little bit better, because there are also these metaverse type places. And I did see one called Somnium Space, which is a little more interesting, because you can go in there with a VR headset, like a Oculus Quest or whatever. You can set up a camera. So I saw somebody doing an interview with somebody else, and they were in the space together, and they had like you could set a camera, and then you could have that as you could film what the people were talking about. So you could actually see the people instead of seeing what they see. You saw the two people talking to each other. Wow. And in there, they did have some works of art where you could walk inside of them and things like that. And that's sort of getting a lot more close to like what I think is possible, you know, in this space.
Yeah, it sounds to me like this platform is built off Mozilla's A-Frame platform, which is also Mozilla Hubs. But you know, I guess the fact that it's browser based means that no one has to install anything. That's probably the kickback for it.
Yes, definitely. But I actually have seen someone who made. Let me see if I actually have it on here. This was somebody just in the community who knows how to use Unity, and here, and he created his own in Unity web-based thing, and it looks a lot better, like in terms of the resolution and everything. So I just think there's more possible, and his is also still a relative simple depiction. Wow. Oh, he's even got music. Wow. How do you turn it off though? But what I mean is his is a little bit better quality. But anyway, the point is that I believe that we can do a lot more, you know, even we can do more than this too, because the possibilities are pretty much up to your imagination what you could do in the virtual space. But anyway, taxes. Yeah, there's a tax questions. I honestly can't answer those because it's different everywhere. Like for instance, I have a tax liability in the US if I deal with crypto, because I'm a US citizen. And they have super strange rules about it, like especially when it deals with NFTs, because they view NFTs as a collectible or like an artwork. It's not an investment. Some people say, oh, it's an investment, so I have to pay capital gains on it. But in the US, it's considered a collectible, and therefore it's like a 28% tax rate automatically. The other thing is that at the moment, it can't really be tracked. Like even the tax authority in the US has said that we can't track this right now. It's just keep a record of for yourself, you know, that, you know, you have to report it. And then there's other weird rules about like how crypto, if you buy crypto to buy the NFT, then could be a tax liability. But if you have crypto and then you buy it, it doesn't. I don't know. There's some weird rules everywhere. And I believe that this is something else that's going to be more and more worked out over the following years, because I think they also don't have any set rules yet. I mean, they're still working on this, like how to do this.
I think it's a honor system right now. You don't declare a lot of things because the government does not find it, has no way to actually really figure it out. Whether you've been collecting stuff or selling stuff and making money out of it, unless you start declaring it and making this into your core function or your core job. I think there was a huge question right now from Lauren, which was talking about the potential for longer digital formats such as short films and music as well. Do you know anything of that example, Jason?
So films and such, not really. I have, let's see, there is there were these people, this Spanish group, and they did some. This is the only thing I can think of right now where there's actually sort of a kind of a, but it's still what you consider more like an animation, right? It's not. It's still 3D stuff.
Right.
But that's not it. Essentially, it was an auction they did. So it ended up being a 1-1. One edition, right? So one person bought it. Of course, anybody can watch it. I mean, this is one of the things that some people say about it. Oh, why are you paying for it when I can just watch it? And that's definitely an argument. I mean, you could say that that's an argument, but the thing is that we're talking about a way for people to kind of invest in an artist. Let's put it that way. That's how I see it. If I like someone's work, then I can pay them and they can continue doing that work. It's helping them continue to do what they're doing, which is what any art, let's not say not an investor, an art patron is going to do, right? It's like Patreon, but with more money involved, I guess.
Right.
So they created these. I actually wanted to talk about this anyway because it's something that because there's a community aspect that I wanted to touch on quickly before we're done. Well, I'll get back to it. But anyway, so they created these, these animations. And these guys are coming from an architecture visualization background. You can see it, but they're an agency and they work with lots of different brands. But they created these kind of fun vignettes. But this was all wrapped up in a single film called The Revolt, which was bid on as a 1-1 auction. And it has a little story and everything, included. And it has to do with these kind of daily objects going haywire and doing different kinds of things in the house, destroying everything. I mean, I can think of this. For music, there's for sure the music industry, or not, let's say probably the full music industry, but also single musicians are very interested in this because they are creating stuff and are able to just directly sell it to people. And I've even seen situations where they were selling their music a 1-1 auction for a song, where the person who bought it as part of the contract actually could get future royalties from the song being used somewhere or played, or if they wanted to, they could collect royalties as part of the rights of buying it. And this for sure could change things a little bit in the music industry, especially for single producers. Actually, there was, I think I actually bought something the other day. I'm just looking real quick. Yeah, this person sold, or I think this one was free. So that's another great thing on the HEN. They call it HEN because it's like HEN, right? On this network, a lot of people are giving stuff away for free because there's no fees on it. Like to put it up, it costs like 5 cents to list something. So, and I'm going to talk about somebody else who was doing this as a way to build a community, which is interesting. They were doing it on Wearable, so they were spending a lot of money to do it. But on here, you can do this. And this person, they were selling a song that they had made. So let's see. And there's just that simple animation, but that was the purpose of this, was selling the music. And you can see he made like edition of 100 and almost all of them are gone, I think. Yeah. And it seems that this person is planning to do this. So they've released a couple other, and the others you have to pay one Tez, which is $5 or something. but there's definitely a lot of different ways that you could use this system for sure. I think actually for a film, what could be interesting is this goes along with this whole thing about community, and you could use it in a similar fashion to like a Kickstarter. But what's more interesting about using an NFT for that is that if a person wants to sell their share into the production or whatever cost, like if they want to say, well, I actually don't want to be involved in this anymore, they could sell that NFT to someone else who wants to be involved in that. You see? So it's different than like Kickstarter where the money is just there, done, but that NFT could still retain value after the money has already passed to the person who creates the film. It could still retain value, because as long as people are saying that, as long as we say that these things have value, then they will, right? And I believe they will. I don't believe that this is going to go to zero. It's not going to disappear, because there's an element of owning a part of the film then and involved in that. So I think it is. I think it's definitely something you could think about in terms of fundraising as well.
That's a good point there. Jason, one of the, I guess there's lots of like, there's a lot of evolving art. There's a lot of art that can be programmatically evolving, or there can be complexity in art itself. So the question from Brian was like, how do I go about making this kind of complex NFTs? What kind of people do I need? How do I,
Yeah, that's where like async art is interesting, because they're allowing a platform where you can do some more complicated things without having to know how to program the NFTs. But the reality is, if you want to do something like this replicator, you're gonna probably have to have somebody custom program the NFT for this. This was not something that you can just do without having some programming knowledge, right? Like, and I don't know if maybe this person knows this kind of stuff. I have a feeling probably it was a team effort, with some other people to do that. So you definitely, there's a programming aspect in this entire thing, which I do not know anything about. I'll be honest. I'm curious to learn more about it. At this point, I'm more interested in, because I'm coming from like the community side of things, like with the conference and everything. I'm more interested in the community aspect of everything and how this is being organized to like, fund projects and do things like that. But I definitely want to learn more about it, because I think that, it's something you need to know a little bit about if you want to create something new and interesting. Like something that's different than just making the simple NFT for an image.
I'm sure there are a lot of like technical programmers who can understand how to evolve an art. I've worked with in game development, at least with a lot of artists who can actually program as well. Who understand how to make something move or work or change or shift over time. But I think it really is a question of like how you think philosophically about how the art piece is going to function, working out a good concept for that and putting it together a team, because I can imagine that this is not one guy doing it. He's got a team behind
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's probably working in a similar way to any big artist. They're not doing everything by themselves. Wouldn't be possible. Like Jeff Koons, for instance. I mean, he's not even making that stuff, right? he's just saying, I want it to look like this, I have the idea and then we're gonna make it. It's like an architect more,
We may have skipped the process where you were minting something, and since Lauren was asking about if I made a 10 seconds clip on my phone, how would I make an NFT of it? I guess of anything, how do you mint something in the process itself? So
I'm going to show that real quick. I mean, the first that I can show, it really doesn't take long and it's relatively easy. The thing is, you'll see here what's going to happen. So I actually already put something up. I've not really gotten into selling stuff yet because I wanted to really understand everything that's going on. And for now, I just use some photographs, so some old photographs that we took back in New York City. This is something I put up. But basically what you do when you want to start is, and this was not listed for sale because the gas fee, like I said before, is really high. And I'll show you what happens. Okay, so first of all, the main thing you need is to have the Ether wallet. And you need to have some ETH on there because you're going to have to spend something for it to get on there, you know. So then you go to collections. For instance, I created this one already. We can go to create. I'll show you. Basically, when you set up a collection in OpenSea, you're creating a group of items which might fall together because you can only create single items right now on OpenSea. Let's say, for instance, like that CryptoPunk thing, you would create individual NFTs, which you would sell separately, but it would all be under the title CryptoPunks. So that's what this is, basically the folder for everything. So I did that already. You basically just give it the picture description and so on. And this will be shown on each object within that collection. So I had one added in already. I put this one inside. I used the same picture for the main picture, but so I would just go to like add a new item, and then I grab another one, the image that I've prepared. It's just a JPEG. You can see actually up here what is allowed. There's quite a lot of things that are allowed, and also the maximum size 100 megabytes, which is generally gonna make it work. Of course, if we're talking about bigger, longer film kind of stuff, it's not gonna probably be possible. Depends on how much you can compress it, I guess. So you give it a name. I'll just call it something simple right now. You can link to a site outside if you want. Then you can give it, I actually didn't give it a description. You can give it a separate description. I'll just write something quick so we can see where it shows up. And then these properties here, this is for, especially for things like those you would do in a series like the CryptoPunks or things like that, because you can give it different characters, attributes, and so on that might make them different from the others, since it's a single thing. So basically, you could say that they're different based on. You could just have to show what assets. It's like tagging it basically. Numerical different traits that they might have and so on. So there are people who are doing kind of trading card kind of stuff. And in that sense, you might have a character on that trading card that has certain skills or whatever. And then unlockable content just means that you have something that you might give out. This could be probably like a physical item, and it's not shown until you buy the thing, or you can make something special in there that people don't know what it is. And then here you see how it says the supply is 1. You can't change it. It says you can only do 1. No, there's no gas cost because OpenSea actually you can put things for sale. You don't have to pay the gas up front. It's paid. You can tell it to be paid by the person who buys, which is advantageous because it's not minting the item until it gets bought. This is different than Wearable. Wearable, for instance, you have to mint the item before you can put it on sale. So if you mint the item and it doesn't sell, you've put the money out already. On OpenSea, you do not have to put that money up front. The only money you have to put up front, and that's what I was going to show you, is the first time you want to sell something, it makes you pay a gas fee to authorize the fact that you're allowing MetaMask to interact here and to put things on sale. So you'll do, so apparently this is going to be changed. This is coming soon that you can actually do like additions. So 100 or something.
Right.
But at the moment, yeah, it's just 1. So then you create. Okay. I can visit the item and I can of course see it. If I go to my profile, it's going to be, okay, it's not there yet. Sorry. but okay, so here's the description that I wrote in there. Then here's the description of the entire collection. So all the things that are inside this collection, and I can create separate collections of different things that I want. And then down here in OpenSea, you're going to see like all the information about the transactions that have been happening with this specific NFT. Let's see if it's in there now. It's just, it sometimes takes a little while for it to update. But anyway, it'll be in there. And then if you want to sell it, you're going to go to the image or the object, and then you're going to hit the sell button, and you're going to see that you can set the price. You can do an auction. You can also, if you have a group of objects, you can actually bundle them together and say there's a price for all of them together. They can still be sold individually. I'm not exactly sure what happens if one sells out of the bundle, if it destroys the bundle then, or but anyway, so if you just do set price, you put in the, let's say something low just to play around. And if you do post, it's going to pop up now for listing. So you have to initialize the account. And as you can see right now, just to initialize the account, there's a gas fee of $148.
What?
Just to allow me to start using. Oh, can you actually see this?
No, we can't.
I saw, because I know, because
I think it's because you have the window, the Zoom window in front of it.
No, it's actually because I believe because I'm just sharing the
right screen.
I'm not sharing the screen. I'm sharing the. Should I share the?
That's okay.
I can do it. I can share the screen instead of the.
Yeah. 148. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's happening a lot. Can you see that now?
Let's see. Yes.
So you can see now it's in a, that's the crazy thing. It's 158 now, like just in the 10 seconds change, you know? And this is all based on this fact that it's the proof of work scenario. So these are the fees that are being paid to the miners for mining the stuff and doing the calculations, and this is a bidding system. So you can also change what the gas fee is somewhere. Actually, maybe here you can't do it. Yeah, you can change the fee. It doesn't change that much. It's not that much difference. If you do it slower, it could take a lot longer. It might not happen at all. I think here it will actually happen with that amount. But basically, there's a bidding system in the background where the miners are deciding which one to take. Based not manually, but you know, based on some fixed algorithms inside their mining systems. But anyway, the point is, it costs a lot. You can see that I have this kind of there's a plugin which shows gas fees, current gas prices, and so on. The problem is it's still kind of hard for me to understand, because you see that it said 158, but this says if I do it fast, it's 819, and I don't know, $8.19. I don't know why there's such a discrepancy in like the cost. It's something that I have, everyone I've talked to doesn't understand exactly why that is. But the point is, once you do this transaction here, you will be able to, you only have to do it once. And then you're able to put things on sale. You don't have to pay the gas up front on OpenSea once you do that. But the problem is, of course, if someone wants to buy something and you've set it at a low price, like 0.05 ETH, which is maybe 100. Okay, maybe it's a relatively low. It's not such a huge amount. Well, you'll see, yeah, 0.06 is 157. Well, sometimes that will be the gas price you have to pay just to buy the thing. So it's a very problematic thing. And this is why on HIN, you don't have this problem. But anyway, so
can you mint on HIN? Can you mint on
yes, I was going to show you as well.
Great.
It's actually even easier, to be honest. I actually have to close this, so you have to reject it. But anyway, Wearable allows you to create, like I could create that object and make 100 edition and things like that, but you have to pay for the gas fees ahead of time. So here, let's go here. This is the main page of HIN. It's very simple, a very simple site. I really like it, actually. You do have to be careful. You need to, for instance, they do have a problem with people copy minting things. And there is a Discord server where you can, you know, point out maybe if you see something that's iffy or whatever, and they'll take a look at it. But basically, you can usually, if you click on the profile of the person who's selling the thing, you can check here, and this one is not verified, so you can't be for sure where this is coming from. You can't be for sure that it's authentic from the person, but let's see, this looks like a John Bergerman almost. I'll try to find one here. That's I'm actually not verified either, because you have to do it's a small process. You have to fill out a Google form, and it goes through like the people who do the Tezos blockchain, and they verify that you are who you say you are.
Okay.
But generally, when you see one that's verified, you can click on their Twitter or something. You hear, for instance, so you know they're verified, and you can see their name and so on. You can set up your profile like you want, and then they have their Twitter and their Instagram, so you can click on that and you can go look. And usually, when they have their Twitter there, they're saying, "Okay, I just put this up on the place. You know, here it is," and then you can kind of be sure that they're the ones that are doing it. You know. I actually like that. That's pretty cool. But anyway, so I put the same image up there, just since it's not on sale in the other place. Nobody bought one, but I didn't that's another thing. You have to market it. You know, you can't just put something up and hope people are going to buy it. I mean, it might happen, but you still have to think about, you know, it's not just, the things aren't going to sell themselves. Anyway, it's super easy. You basically put the title. I'm actually just going to put it up. I'm not going to put it on sale, but I'll just put it up something here. You can put some tags if you want. You can put in how many you want to create. Let's say 100. I'm just going to do it as 100. And then you can, the nice thing is you can put in how many royalties you want to have if it resells. So if someone else buys it, what would happen? It's white now. I'll put in 10%. It's like that's like the standard, but I think you could put it up to 25. It said here, and then you just upload the object. Let's preview it. So that's what it's going to look like. You can put, like, also it's sometimes good to put you could put in here, you know, who it's from and whatever, so you don't have to actually necessarily go to the profile, but most people check the profiles because you want to see if it's an authentic thing. So I can mint the 100 objects, and you see that this operation costs around 0.08 Tez. And this is like such a small amount. And you can get Tez from some of the bigger exchanges out there, like Coinbase, I think, and Binance. You can get it, but you see that there's the gas fee and the storage fee, and it's costing 30 something cents, as opposed to $100. So, and wow. then it's working and preparing it and uploading it. Essentially, I just minted the contract. And then you'll see, in order to sell it, there is a strange thing that happens when you if I have something, for instance, that I bought from someone else and I want to sell it, I have to click on, like, the same system I would do here. We'll wait for a moment till it comes up. Or yeah, here it is. It's called swap. You click on swap, and then you can oh, it took me back to the, let's see. still not ready, but that's fine. I'll go here and show you. When you have the item, it won't be on sale. It will say the editions and it'll say not for sale here. And then you'll click on swap. And then you will say how many of those that you created you want to swap or sell. So if it's all of them, you make it 10. If you want to keep one for yourself, for instance, you could put 9, and then it will save one, and then how much you want per item. So I put 1, and it's collecting for 1 Tez, and then you say swap it, and this creates then that it puts it on sale. There's a strange thing that happens though if you own one from someone else and you put it on sale. For instance, if I took something that I bought from someone else, and basically it goes to their profile when you click on the image, even though I own it, it's still going to show that this is the creator.
Right.
And the collectors, then I can see that they still own 4 copies and they're still for sale, and I got just one of them. That's my address. But if I do a swap and I say, okay, 1, if I put in the wrong number, it'll say it doesn't work. But if I put in 1 and I say how much I wanted to sell it for, it will list it under collectors here. Like if I did it for 5, it'll put my 1 up here, and it'll also say theirs for 2.5 and mine for 5. The strange thing is then it doesn't show in your assets anymore, in your own managed assets, in your collection. It doesn't show up, because basically what Hen is doing is when you put something up for sale, they actually put it in the Hen escrow, so that if somebody does buy it, it's already ready to transfer it's not coming directly from you, then it's from their system. And so it won't show up in the collection anymore. You'll have to know, you need to know what objects you had, and you can check those things on the Tezos blockchain, of course, but it's also good that you keep track of like what the object numbers are. Somebody showed me, I don't know if I saved it or not, but somebody actually showed me an actual NFT that somebody made that was an interactive box where you could type in the object number and it would take you to that to that object, but it was also an NFT. so this platform actually has some cool things you can do with it.
When you mint something on a platform, it's stuck to that platform. Brian was asking, hey, can I mint it on Hen and then sell it on OpenSea?
Okay, so I actually wanted to say something about that. Basically, at this point, you'll have to trust the people, let's say, that you're buying from, that they don't oversaturate their market, right? And if I am selling a 1/1 edition of something, it's definitely in my best interest. If I don't, I should say what it is, if I'm planning to sell it somewhere else or not, because if you are selling a 1/1 edition, people think that is going to be the only one of that's going to be made. So yes, technically I could put it on every platform. If I have access, I could sell it. But if someone sees that I'm doing that and it's not separate artworks, eventually nobody's going to buy anything from me, because you're basically giving up your trust. Now, if you explicitly said, I'm going to sell this on other places too, then the person can act accordingly when they decide how much they want to pay for it, because they can say, okay, well, if he's going to make 10 more on another platform, then that means that I'm not getting the only one. So you can do it though. It's definitely possible.
I guess you can replicate the image, and you can replicate the same image, but once it's minted on the platform, it will stay on that platform. Technically, right? You can't mint it on the platform and say, hey, I'm selling this object, and it was minted at somewhere else. But if you still own the NFT, you can burn it. So for instance, here, I can say burn, and it says burning will remove all object from your possession. So if I own these, I can burn it and it'll burn all of them. So like, for instance, if I want to stop selling them, like let's say I sold 5 of them and I say, okay, actually I'm going to leave it at 5, then I can burn whatever's left and they're gone. They don't exist anymore in the contract. So then the contract will be for those 5 that exist only. Right.
and this is actually what this artist John Bergerman did with this one. He posted, I'm gonna let it up for, I made 1,000 of them. I'm gonna leave it up for 24 hours. They cost like they were relatively 1 Tez or something. And then he said, when it's done, I'm gonna burn the rest. So basically he was like, you get it while you can, and then I'm gonna get rid of whatever's left. And so that will be fixed, the edition number for that drawing.
Right.
But you have to trust him, because he could turn around tomorrow and do it again with the same one. There's nothing stopping him from doing that. So yes, that's good. That could be a potential problem.
Right.
But if you're following somebody who you can watch, you can see what they're doing. So and they know that,
Yeah. Jason, we're approaching time. I wanted to touch base on just let's see, there's still a bunch of questions on here, and a lot of them are so fascinating. But I have a question that I wanted to ask you. Do you think that this is just a playground for let's say the what would I call it, the crypto rich people right now? It seems like crypto has made Metal Coven, for example. I mean, 69 million is nothing to him.
I guess not.
Yeah, he's apparently, from what I've read in the research, he is a crypto billionaire. Like he's got tons of money, or crypto money. So is this a playground only for people who are doing that? Because for people who are just, the pain of just putting out $1,000 for something that I can't even display in my own house, the non-traditional method of thinking about it, is very different. What's your take on that?
Yeah, that is definitely interesting question, because I have also put a little money in there just to see how everything works. And I'm by no means wealthy enough to own, like I can't even I noticed that I couldn't buy, I couldn't afford to buy the one editions of things, like where you have to do an auction. Those things are running quite expensive generally, but you can buy the open editions of things. And on Hin, you can buy, this is what's fun about it, is that the people aren't, at least who knows what's going to happen, but at this point it's a sort of an alternative track, and the things, people are putting them up more like small amounts. And I don't know if that's an experiment or on purpose, but there's a lot of interesting stuff on there. And I think that hopefully it stays like that, because then it's something that it does definitely feel like it's more for like people who are just interested in looking at cool stuff and like being able to say you own a piece of it, and it's accessible at least. Because even on Nifty Gateway, the prices are getting high, even on the open editions. This is a problem they have at the moment too. They know it. I mean, they for sure know it, and I believe that they're going to change. You could see that when the hype was going up, the prices started going up too. And now that it started dying down again, and they see that what's happening, the prices are going lower now for the open editions. Like when they'll do a drop, they'll show the price ahead of time, and you can see that it's going down again, because they know they're watching it. But they're also trying to get the most money they can out of it. You can see that too. And this is a little bit of a disadvantage of that platform as well.
Maybe a good way of wrapping up then would be, what would be advice for people for them to maybe wait it out, test something out, use Hen, very good practical advice at this current stage of where NFTs are going?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for sure, if you're interested in it, definitely get in the Discords. And I'm talking about like the Discords of the places where the people are buying stuff, because they're talking about it a lot. Also in the Hin Discord, there's a good Discord as well for that. You can also see where people, they have like different channels where you could post your own stuff too. And like, you can talk about issues and everything else. But the real good thing is if you're interacting with people, you're going to come across people that you can either do things with or learn something from, or who maybe buy something from you later on, etc. I actually wanted to show that there was something I wanted to talk about that had to do with community. I want to do this because it's important, I think.
By all means, let's do it.
If I have enough time to just show this real quick, because I think it's really interesting. This artist named Campus Sophie they started giving away NFTs by, let's see if I can find one where, for instance, like this was recent, it's actually yesterday or 2 days ago, that they would give 24 hours and you give a definition in 2 words, and then they would give this away, this NFT. And I actually have 2 NFTs from this person, actually 3 if you count this one, but this one I actually won by doing this little definition thing on Twitter. So Twitter is important if you want to follow this stuff, because it seems like that's where all the action is, where all the people are posting about what they're doing in the NFT space. It's there. Everybody who's involved, what I've seen, is posting there. This one was then given because somebody started a Discord for it. Campus Sophie came in there and is part of the Discord now. Actually, sorry, I'm going to pull my Discord over because you see all of these channels are most of these channels, except maybe 1 or 2 of them, are NFT related. And I was not using Discord very much before. So for instance, we have this channel, this is the channel for that artist. And yeah, collectors, general one, whatever. There's like all this stuff. So you can talk about, they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff in there, like auctioning off stuff for different things. And that's where this comes in. Before the pack auction, this person said, look, let's make a group buy of pack cubes so that we can buy as a group a huge number as opposed to just buying single ones ourselves. So he created this collective NFT in Wearable, and you could buy. The idea was that any single person shouldn't buy more than 10, so that as many people could take part. And they created 250 of these to start off with, and I bought 5 of them. I think 5 costs around $500 or something, which is the price of one of the cubes would have cost, right? So I thought, okay, let's see how this goes. So what they've done though is crowdfund the buying of this huge amount of cubes for a fractional cost, right? That anyone that was following in the group could buy into. Well, they started with 250, sold them out in like 30 minutes, did another 250, did another 430, basically sold 930 shares. And that's the cool thing, is each one is an actual NFT, which I could sell then to someone else. If I don't want to be part of this anymore, I can sell that NFT to somebody else, and they're then part of that collective. They bought, I believe it was 186 cubes. So we own together a 100, a 50, 20, 10, and so on down. What was also cool about that is that we were in the top 100 of number of cubes that were bought. So we won this 1 of 100 cube as well. So it made it worth even more, of course, that purchase. But this is why I was talking before about the idea of crowdfunding something. If you have the community built up, and this is the really crazy part, is that this community went from this Discord NFT was given to the first 28 people who are in there. I believe the Discord started 7 days ago, okay? And or 8 days ago. It's got over 600 people now, and this was sold via the Discord, just talking in the Discord channel. And they sold 930 of them. And once it started, people were telling other people, join the Discord and get in on this, So I just think it's showing the power of what can happen. Now, of course, we all put our faith in this one person that they were going to take that money and buy those cubes, so there was some trust involved. But since no single person put in more than, a certain amount, it was a risk, of course. But it was also, you could see how the person was acting beforehand, and you didn't have a bad feeling about it, But But this is this kind of community thing which I was talking about, and the other one is this. This was from this 6 and 5 group I was talking about earlier that did these 6 different drawings. These drawings cost about $600. You took basically on Nifty Gateway, you can take part in a drawing, and if you win do you buy the thing. But these are only out of 65. There's 65 of these, so that's a pretty good result. If you have something that's out of 65, it's a low number, so you have it's a good value, generally speaking. So I won this drawing of this door, and I was like, oh man, this is the worst one of the 6. I would have liked to have gotten one of those others. And then some people in the Nifty Gateway Discord server just started saying, hey, let's do something with this door. This is funny. Let's do something. So they started like saying, let's get the door. They got other artists in the Nifty Gateway channel to buy this, including Dead Mouse, the DJ, and some other of the artists. The Fuck Render guy, the Bill Ellis is another famous guy, and they got like 5 or 6 people to buy this door as well. The price is really high on it now because of that, and they created a separate Discord. Sorry, hold on. Where's my Discord? And there's the door, and this is the door Discord. It's just for people who own the door. And we go in there and we chat about stuff. We make plans. They have all kinds of crazy stuff they want to do with this idea with the door, and they've made basically a community out of this one artwork, which none of them even created, but the person who created it is also in that server. And this person 888 is also a mysterious collector. They buy everything. They are buying like everything they can, and usually they like to buy the number 1 editions or editions of 8 or 88 or 888, whatever. And they're obviously have deep pockets. This person is buying up all kinds of stuff, and they bought the number 1 door, so they're also in the group. And the crazy thing is that also adds value to the thing because of who that person is that bought it. So none of this would have happened. I wouldn't even have been involved in this thing if I wasn't in the Discords, right? Like just checking out what's going on and seeing what people were talking about. So that's why I say, if you want to be involved in this, you really have to get in there and see what's going on. But you have to be careful too, because it's a big rabbit hole and it can suck you in. It's like you can get obsessed with it. I will say from personal experience to, be careful.
No doubt.
But anyway, what was there something you asked something at the end? But I think this was important to show because
my personal take on 888, it must be an either Asian Chinese speculator, because it's a very Chinese thing to have 8 as a number.
Okay.
And it always means prosperity or luck. So you triple that, and it's guaranteed that there must be a
So 888 crypto. This is the person.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting.
And they really apparently somebody was talking about, they said it's really even crazier because this person didn't start like collecting NFTs until this year, I think. And then all of a sudden they were everywhere. They were buying everything, this and that, and like winning auctions like on other sites like Super Rare and all those. They were bidding on the things they liked, of course, but they were winning everything. They were putting out lots of money to buy the stuff. And they have actually they even have a separate account which is called 888 Vault, and they send most of the stuff there.
Right.
And they always say that they're collecting this for posterity. And the idea is to create a collection that's to show the time period or something like that. That's what they're not buying it to sell.
Right.
So it's interesting. It'd be interesting to know who that is, but yeah.
So many anonymous faces, man. Yes. It's just interesting. It's fascinating to see this world coming to life in front of us. It's almost I can imagine that it is also still very, very technical for a lot of people until resolves into something a bit more easier for just anyone to just jump in. Right now, there is a huge barrier, and I feel like it's still an established barrier to both put out and sell to the market.
Yeah, actually, I do see, I was looking through the questions. I wanted to answer another one real quick because I think it's important. It was somebody asked, Keith asked, what happens if you try minting something, it goes wrong, like on Wearable, for instance, and you paid to mint it, you will lose that money. If you make a mistake, and another thing is what's crazy about the gas fees is if you, for instance, on even on like Maker's Place, if you bought something, you can resell things on this one as well. There's not very many where you can resell directly, but Maker's Place you can. So if you buy this, you can then change it and put a price up to sell it. The problem is if you want to change the price or even to put it on sale, you have to pay the fee, to do it. And then if you make a price and then you want to change the price, you have to pay to change the price. So you have to think ahead a lot of times with the Ethereum side. This is why I can't wait for all the layer 2 stuff or using the Tezos blockchain with OpenSea and stuff like that. That's going to change everything because all those costs that you would have are not going to be there anymore.
Okay.
Somebody wrote that in their experience that the money goes back if the transaction fails. And yes, that's true. If the transaction fails, yes, you won't get charged. But what I'm talking about is if you list something incorrectly, or if you mint something and then you're like, oh, wait, I wanted to make it more items, or I wanted to, if you want to change, if you do something, that's gone. If you paid already to have something done, it's gone.
Yeah. I think that on that note, I think that we should wrap up because Jason, I have to say thank you so much for sharing all your insights because you've obviously gone quite far down the rabbit hole and found lots of interesting things and case studies and stories. The most fascinating ones are the ones that there is art that's programmed and
yes.
evolved and changes. I think that on the pure creative level can appeal to anyone, but I personally, on my level, I'm still very anxious and to jump in before actually just jumping in. I wonder whether anyone else share the same opinion as well in the group here. If anyone also has anything that you want to say to Jason, you can unmute yourself. I'm just thinking that we can just take the last 5 minutes just to say what you feel. Anyone?
If it's nice.
Yeah, it's nice to hear some voices.
It was a good listen.
Yep, Chris enjoyed that.
Good. Yeah, I hope that it was informative. I mean, I feel like it was. I mean, it's something you can talk about it for a long time. There's a lot of stuff there, that can be discussed for sure.
Lots.
And there's more. I mean, it's
yeah. It was definitely informative. Like it was a huge load of information that I had to process in Google while we were talking about. So it was really, really, really awesome. And thank you for sharing. And
thank you very much.
I'm definitely interested in checking it out, but I'm gonna take it really slowly and trying to figure things out and do some research. So thank you for
yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what's going to happen. Since we have all your email addresses, Jason will be sending me a bunch of reading materials. Yeah. Maybe there was also some people who were saying like, hey, can you list out some Twitter people that I should follow?
I'll make a big list of everything that I can think of.
Amazing. Yeah, that would be so helpful because I think we all need to do our own research. We can't expect you'll give us the key to everything. But I think that this is helpful for us to see the bigger picture because it is huge. And for Tvibit also to inform all of you guys on here who have actually been interested in this project, we're also very keen to see how we can develop this as either a collaborative project or as a personal project. If there are ways that we can actually help you guys also get onto the marketplace, even offset some of your gas costs, depending on, let's see how this evolves. So what I hope is that we were able to keep a close knit community also, and you know, at the same time also reach out with Jason every once in a while if there's new developments too.